Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to the Audio Analyst. This week, we'll explore the advantages that come with implementing a full loom of cabling comprised of the same series of products from a single manufacturer in their system, even one as simple and affordable as my second space rig. Specifically, in today's episode, we will take a closer look at the benefits I've realized in my second space system with the installation of a loom of the entry-level series of OHNO cables, including interconnects and speaker cables, and non-captured AC cords, the Forte F3 powerChords, from Audience. The whole motivation behind the creation of my second space concept was to assemble an affordable system in a normal living room rather than in a dedicated, treated, and destination audio space, a much more likely and common situation for the typical music-loving audiophile. The original implementation of my concept was a system constructed from the plethora of unused surplus gear, electronics, speakers, sources, cabling, things that I had accumulated over the decades. My first attempt, essentially a vintage creation, was quite effective, as you can see in episode 141, Introducing Second Space with Maurice Jeffries from late September of 2023. But over this past year, I've made a considerable number of changes to that vintage system, adding the convenience of streaming with the installation of a WIM Pro Plus in episode 147, featuring an absurdly affordable DAC, the SM-SL SU1 in episode 174, and most recently moving to the remarkably affordable and very good sounding Fosse Audio V3 monoblocks in episode 199. As the cooler weather came with the onset of fall, I was motivated to reclaim the living room fireplace. This spurred my choice to move the system to the opposite wall of this living room space. To accommodate the 60-inch high-res Samsung television that had been added to this system, I integrated an aftermarket television and audio system stand, the $140 Roland Star Modern Entertainment Center and TV stand, with its additional storage and LED lighting. This revamping of my second space rig coincidentally came just before I chose to upgrade the Fosse V3 monos with a set of the Sparkos Labs SS3602 discrete op-amps, documented in episode 206. Oh, and I will be further revisiting the Fosse Audio V3 mods, taking them even one step further, as after E206, Andrew Sparks, the principal of Sparkos Labs in Westminster, Colorado, arranged to send me a second set of his SS3602 discrete op-amps. These have been installed in the second significant Texas Instruments NE5532 IC op-amp location used in the V3's audio circuit. That update will be coming soon, so stay tuned. But after I'd made the placement move and the incremental changes, incorporating better performing, newer products, as I was passing through my storage space one afternoon, I spotted my dormant and superb sounding LampizatOr Baltic 4 DAC peeking out from under a protective covering. As good as the original DAC I had selected for this affordable system is, the SM-SL SU1, which leverages the exceptional performance available from its Asahi Casio Micro Devices AK4493S XU316 DAC. It is, after all, an $80 overachiever. The LampizatOr Baltic 4 is also an overachiever, but a $6,850 overachiever, a product that is so exceptional in its own right that I just had to know what it might be able to contribute to my second space system. So I thought, what the hell? In no time, it was installed and seducing me with its exceptionally accomplished voice. While I have to admit that its addition and inclusion in this system skews my initial concept for it rather radically, throwing a huge imbalance into this deliberately modest installation, as it costs nearly as much as all the other components making up this system combined. But the significant sonic advantages it delivered, more air and space in the upper octave region, the additional bloom, body, and texture it afforded the entire presentation, including the enhancements to sound staging, imaging, and instrumental layering, was simply impossible to forego. As such, it has become a permanent fixture in my second space system. This brings us back to the focus of this episode, the choice of the cables used to connect this or any audio system. If you've followed my work over time here on the channel or over my 35 years of writing reviews and essays, you will know that I favor the use of an entire unified loom of cables, both of the same brand and of that brand's same series. While it is true that every brand asserts its individual specific signature sonic flavor, the use of such full looms over the distinct advantages of providing a consistent, characteristic nature, a underlying sonic thumbprint of sorts, across all of its contributions. When you mix different cable products from the same brand, or worse yet, you mix different models and use products from different brands, you have no real sense of how the synergistic sound of the system has been seasoned, what components of its resultant voice may have been enhanced, adulterated, contaminated, or otherwise altered or modified. You have no way to be assured that you are getting the most natural, unadulterated sound that each component's contribution to your system's final voice may be able to deliver. For example, using a brand of interconnects that are somewhat soft in their rendering of the highest registers, combined with speaker cables from another manufacturer that lean toward a more subdued or somewhat lean mid-range, and the imbalanced nature of the combined subtractive nature of these cable contributions to the system's final sound help make it virtually impossible for you to identify the source of those individual colorations. Using a single brand of products, well matched and properly voiced, assures a more predictable and, if you've chosen well, more accurate, faithful, natural, resultant final voice from your chosen system and its components. Furthermore, aside from the dissimilar nature of the mixing of branding, when we take into account the advanced age of some of the products I'd pressed into service here, some of them 30 years old or more, and it becomes obvious that their contributions would be further compromised by oxidation and other time-based deficiencies and distortions. Making the move to these entry-level audience products, both the OHNO series of interconnects and speaker cables and the Forte F3 series of AC powerChords, affords two distinct advantages. First, my decades of experience with the diverse lineup of audience products have proven to me their ongoing commitment to and repeatedly successful accomplishment of natural, neutral, and faithful sonic results. In fact, because of their exceptionally high degree of fidelity, many audience cables and components, like their adept response power conditioner, have found a permanent home in my world-class reference system, a full listing of which may be seen at my companion website, and I've included a link in today's description for those who may be interested. Second, not only would this offer a unification, a concretion of the Loom's known natural characteristics and sonically faithful contributions, but the advances realized with the use of their contemporary conductor, shielding, and termination materials, given the progressive march of materials science, combined with the integration and fabrication methods employed by the audience design group, the resultant contribution may be considerable. So just what do these audience cables represent and bring to the table? Designed to achieve the highest level of performance the audience team can accomplish and still produce at an entry-level price point. The OHNO cables are named after the late Dr. Axiom OHNO, a true innovator and visionary in the metallurgical and audio world. He invented the highly sophisticated process of producing wire without the crystalline barriers found in conventional conductors, the OHNO continuous casting process. The more typical copper conductor is made up of thousands of sequential individual crystals per meter. As an audio signal navigates this continuous string of crystal boundaries, energy is lost at every boundary the signal encounters. With the OCC process, it is possible to fabricate a single crystal structure of the metal some 125 meters in length. This provides a conductor free of boundaries, offering an unobstructed path with the purest potential for the transmission of low-level audio signals. Add to this, the Audience OHNO cables are fabricated using XLPE, or cross-linked polyethylene, one of the absolute best insulators known to the high-end audio cable manufacturing world, and you begin to understand what potential they may offer your system. The Forte F3 powerChords are high-current 10 AWG designs constructed from high-purity stranded copper wire to maintain flexibility, while its brass contacts have been cryogenically treated. Its proprietary geometry provides for the rejection of noise while balancing the internal energy flow for the lowest eddy current resistance made possible. Another Audience hallmark. The result is that these OHNO and Forte F3 series of cables from Audience offer some of the most significant price-to-performance ratios I've yet encountered. The Loom I installed included 3 sets of 1-meter OHNO single-ended interconnects, 1 set of 2-meter OHNO single-ended interconnects, and 2 1¼ meter Forte F3 AC powerChords. Now, just as a brief aside, while most would acknowledge the sonic improvements possible with the use of well-designed interconnects and maybe even loudspeaker cables, many overlook the remarkably powerful contributions in system resolution, tonality, and texture that can be realized with the use of aftermarket powerChords like the Forte F3 powerChords from Audience. If you should mistakenly think about aftermarket AC cables as a simple series connection, you may more readily justify questioning how the addition of a relatively short premium power cable, after running mile upon mile from the power plant to the socket in your wall, could make a difference. But the more correct way to regard the contributions of a premium power cable is as a parallel interface. As a component that influences the behavior of various elements of electrical noise and fluctuation, particularly through factors like the cable's conductive materials, its design, geometry, shielding, and impedance, its complex interaction with localized properties like the RFI and EMI elements present in the room, as well as its interaction in a common mode relation to the system ground, you may begin to understand how it may contribute substantially to the way it influences the sound. 2 of the 3 1-meter sets of single-ended OHNO ICs, which retail for $350 a pair, connect the Channel Islands audio phono stage and the LampizatOr Baltic 4 DAC to inputs 1 and 2 of the passive line stage. The last 1-meter set of single-ended OHNO ICs connects one of the passive line stage's dual outputs to the Fosse V3 monoblocks, while the remaining 2-meter set of single-ended OHNO ICs, retailing for $420 a pair, connects the second set of outputs from the passive line stage to the line-level inputs on each of the 2 subwoofers. The 2 1¼ meter Forte F3 AC powerChords, which retail for $175 each, are used to power the Channel Islands audio passive line stage and the LampizatOr Baltic 4 DAC. After their arrival and a few days of conditioning on my Audio Dharma cable cooker, I dropped all these Audience cables into play. While the immediate improvement in overall resolution of both detail and nuance was not subtle, within just a few days of use, after the system had a bit more time to cure, and especially for the entire installation to settle, the transformation that they contributed was one of the more remarkable and effective transitions in recent memory. So many things had improved. There was such an obvious step forward in the system's performance that it was really kind of difficult to choose where to start. Probably the most striking difference now was the absence of a previously unnoticed sense of darkness, of masking or veiling. To be honest, this perfectly exemplifies one of my 9 audio axioms. Number 4, the value of subtractive evaluation. You may see a full accounting of all my audio axioms in episode 9, also linked in today's description section. This 4th audio axiom deals with how difficult it may be to recognize the influence or contribution of some influence until it is removed from the system by change or substitution. Here, after the installation of the Audience cable loom, there was a newfound level of broadband coherence and relevant transparency to the sources now, whether I was playing an exceptional LP, streaming high-resolution files from my NAS, or even streaming television from my DirecTV Genie. This is clearly a result of the elevation of the system's resolving capacity that these new, superbly neutral cables were empowering this modest, yet articulate and expressive system to accomplish. I was truly startled by how much more there was to any recording I was playing now. The results came as more clearly defined fingering on fretboards, from acoustic and electric guitars to cellos and violins, as well as more acuity in the presentation of the interactions of the hammer's attack on strings, especially with well-recorded pianos, and of more harmonic complexity to the resonant contribution of the reeds of clarinets, oboes, and especially of saxophones. In all, the deeper, clearer, more concise view into the musical tapestry woven by music now rendered by this system was neither subtle nor something that you would choose to relinquish after experiencing it. Instrumental shapes, sizes, and locations, as well as their collaborative layering and physical interrelationships, were not only more clearly expressed, more easily discerned as the individual contributions of separate voices blending to create a large and mass voice, but they were also afforded more faithful tonality and textures. The installation of these exceptional entry-level cables from Audience embodies the indisputable validity of my first audio axiom: cables are components. I hope you'll have the opportunity to enjoy the gifts these extraordinarily effective and most affordable cables from Audience will bring to the ultimate performance of your system as they have to mine. As always, thank you for taking the time to drop by today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.